Hi everyone and welcome to Club 2, Episode 1 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. So I've been unemployed since October. I stood down as the manager of Cobb Ramblers in the Irish Premier Division because I managed to keep them in it in the last day of the season. In theory, what I would like to say about that is if we go and have a look at the Irish First Division here, it's currently ranked at 153 in terms of the rankings for the competitions. If we go and look at all the competitions for the British Isles that I've got loaded up, this is where we started with Cobb Ramblers in the Irish First Division. We then managed to get them up in Season 2 into the Premier Division, and it was far too early for us, and we had the first 12 games or so where we lost every single game. The board were happy enough because they didn't really expect anything different, but it was a really hard season. But the second half of the season we changed some bits and pieces about how we played, how we set up our team, and eventually we went on a bit of a run, and over the season gradually picked up enough points to be in the conversation on the last day of the season to stay in the division. There were three of us all within a chance to stay in the division, and one stayed up and two went down, and on the last day we stayed up, which was incredible. Cobb Ramblers stayed up in the Premier Division. Now, the reason I then quit the club was I genuinely thought that it was a complete miracle that we'd stayed up. The finances of the club, the setup of the club, the size of the club, etc., didn't feel like I was going to be able to achieve anything in that second season in the Premier Division. It was going to be as hard, if not harder. To attract better players was almost impossible. And so I thought, well, rather than have another struggle in a season where I know that what the likely outcome is going to be, and having taken that particular team as far as I could, why not have a change of scenery and see if we can achieve something else? So we've done that. I resigned from my position. It was mid-October time when I resigned at the end of the Irish Premier Division season, because that runs from January through to October. And then I resigned, and so I've been looking for work ever since. I've had loads of interviews with loads of different clubs at loads of different levels, and to be fair, I mean, not many of them gave me the time of day, really. I mean, a couple of interviews here and there, but a lot of clubs just dismissed me out of hand. Some of the supporters of clubs laughed at me when I applied for their jobs, and I was just applying to see what I could get, really, just to see who would have any interest in employing me. And so it's taken a little bit of time. As I say, we're now in January of 2022, so I've been out of work for like the last 3 or 4 months, and I've finally been offered a job, and it's on this list here in front of us of the available jobs, obviously. And there is a key reason why I've chosen to accept this job compared to others, and it's basically about which division they're in, but also where they are in that division. A lot of the clubs that I had to entertain were sitting in the bottom 2 or 3 of their current season, whichever division they are in, and look like they're going to be relegated, and look like it's going to be hard work to change their fortune a little bit in the season that we find them. Whereas I think on this particular occasion, there's at least some semblance of hope that we're not that bad, and potentially with some good signings, some wheeler-dealer type signings that I think we can achieve, then we could get somewhere. And so the current club that are in offer, and the current club that I'm just about to take the offer for, is this one. It's Connors Quay Nomads, and they are in the Welsh Premier Division, which is a little, if we go back to the divisions, you can see that they are a little bit down from where we were in the Republic of Ireland in the Irish Premier. They sit 102nd in the rankings, and the previous league that we were in were 70th, 77th. But it's partly due to the fact that I don't think the club that we had in the Irish Premier Division, Cobb Ramblers, probably they shouldn't have been there, that they should have been down here really in the Irish First Division. So I think we've split the difference, and we found somewhere in the middle with an interesting club in Connors Quay. Now, they were predicted to finish 6th in their season preview. At the point where they are in the league, after playing 22 games, the league is then divided into a couple of different competitions. If we look at the rules, you can see after 22 games it becomes a championship conference and a playoff conference. And then there's quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. and there's a European place playoff. Now, I think the way that it works, let's have a look and read up on this a little bit. 32 games, league splits after 22. So that's just happened. And you can see that the top half go into the Championship Conference and the second half go into the Playoff Conference. And there is a Euro spot up for grabs, seemingly, which is one of the reasons why I took it. There's lots of potential for Euro spots, it feels like. I don't exactly know how it works. To be honest, it might be you looking at it thinking, well, that's not how it works at all. And you're going to really, find that it's an awful place to be or something. I don't know. But let's have a look. Qualification. Top 6 teams qualify for the Championship Conference. Bottom 6 qualify for the Playoff Conference. Teams placed 3rd to 7th qualify for European places playoff. And I finished 7th so far. So we've got a chance, haven't we? That's what it seems to tell me anyway. So the bottom 2 teams get relegated. I think we'll be okay in that front, maybe. But we've got an opportunity here to get Euro football, which is the reason why I wanted to take this opportunity in this division. Because there's absolutely a chance that at some point in the next couple of seasons, if we get some good free signings in, because the finances of the club are terrible, but if we can wheel and deal a little bit, we could actually get into Europe, which will boost my reputation, which means that I will then get an opportunity to move on again. And that's why I took this particular role, because of that potential. So you can see within this particular season, they're suggesting they want me to work within their wage budget. Might be difficult, but there's a few players to get rid of potentially. It's quite a big squad, so we'll have to look at that a little bit. They want a top half finish. Well, we're currently sitting 7th, which is one below the top half. And I think, as again, with a bit of a rub, maybe for a new manager coming, maybe we can do that. They expect us quarterfinals minimum for the Welsh Cup. Okay, we'll see. But these are only sort of minor asks, I think. And there's another cup competition that they also expect me to get to the quarterfinals for, which we'll have to wait and see as well. And then all they're asking in future seasons, over the next couple of seasons, is to maintain that top half finish. So you can see where they fit in the division, but you can also see that within this division there is opportunity, I think. So we are going to accept the offer from Connors Quay Nomads in, I think, the northeast of Wales, maybe I've got that wrong, but somewhere around there. So let's start the negotiations, go in here and check out if there's anything I need to change about it. I don't really need to change anything. What do I need to change anything for? It's all fine. So we'll finalise the deal and exit the talks, and the job offer has been accepted, and then we will move on. And here we are in the boardroom of Connors Quay Nomads. So there is obviously a place called Connors Quay on the waterfront. And so the football club is Connors Quay Nomads. And they have just hired the United City FM to move them forward. So let's see what we're working with. We'll rush through this a little bit. The reputation of the club is 1 star. The media prediction is about 5th. There's no director of football. We've got an assistant manager. We'll have to talk to him at some point. We've got a capacity of 3,500 in terms of our D-side stadium. So that's not a bad size stadium really, built in 1998, so it should be reasonably modern, you would imagine. There's our crest, our logo for the club, nice boat on it for the sea that we're obviously quite close to, founded in 1946. So yeah, little bits about the club. They've been playing seemingly this formation, a 4-2-3-1, which we'll have to check out as to whether we continue or not. I'll just see what the players are like before I make that kind of decision. We've got some loan obligations going on, no transfer obligations, that's fine. There's the structure of the club, the 5-year plan and the club culture. Strive to make progress on and off the pitch. Okay, we can do that. Nothing really in the club vision. Is that different to the culture? I can never remember these days. Anyway, maybe all this is the club vision, I can't remember, but we've got a couple of required elements. So finish mid-table and work within the wage budget. Okay, that's not bad, is it really? We can schedule a press conference and send an advice report from the backroom staff, so we'll do both of those things. And here we are as the manager of Connors Quay in Wales. Let's have a look through the news feed just to see what it initially offers us as thoughts. So we've got ongoing negotiations. So there's some contract issues that we need to sort out. Players in last year of contract, quite a few. There's a high potential players obviously in and around the club for the level that we're playing at. So we'll have to pay attention to where that's all at. Playing time expectations for next season, some changes in there. So we'll have to be aware of that as we move forward. Connors Quay Youth Intake Preview. Oh, there's a preview for that. That's coming up probably in March. So at least one of our centre-backs looks promising. We have one good young Welsh central defender from Connors Quay who's caught the eye. There's a terrific group of players coming through, and there has potential to be a real golden generation, but then there's lots of things that we don't have as well. But always an interesting one to get the golden generation thought, isn't it? So we'll check that out as that comes through in a couple of months' time. Competition expectation reviews. So we're expected to finish mid-table. We've got no transfer budget. We've got a wage budget. Let's see what that says. It says, unfortunately, the club's finances dictate that the board cannot allow you to increase the budgets through player sales. Okay, well, that's difficult, but we'll have to work with it. We'll be working in the free transfer market anyway, I would imagine. We'll do the tactics at another point once I've met the players a little bit and seen what we've got available to us. There's a few introductory advice summary bits in terms of who should be taking free kicks, etc. So just let's go and have a look at this setup financially. So you can see the club are a little bit in debt, which means that we don't have a transfer budget. We've got a little bit of movement in the wage budget, and if we can get rid of some of the players that we've already got, that will increase that wage a little bit more as well. And the reason that I'm happy about that is that you can see if we go to our under-19s, we've got quite a big squad here of under-19s with some good potential in it. Maybe nobody realising it just at the moment, but there's a couple of two-star players in there that we might have to have a look at. Let's have a look and see what standard they're at. Remember, these are going to be quite low in terms of the standard. So this is our first two-star under-19s, and he's a right back. You can see he's got a reasonable tackling, some good bravery. It's, his physicals aren't too bad, are they? Mentals are a little bit average, and so are the actual technicals. But, as a 16-year-old, that's not too bad for the level that we're playing at. And the other two-star player currently is Jake Fenton, who is an attacking midfield right player or striker. Let's go and see what really he is. And he's more of a right-sided player, isn't he? With the crossing of 10, determination is good, flair is good, decent pace, acceleration at 17. Maybe he'll find his way into our first team plans a little bit. Who knows? I mean, there's obviously some real problems in some of what he's got, but this is the level that we're dealing at. So you can see that I might be able to get rid of some of these players. Who knows? And there's another two-star. I missed this guy out. Ryan Farhat. And he's a left-sided defender. And he's got tackling of 11 and decisions is good and natural fitness. Again, little bits to work with at the age of 18. Who knows? We might have to move a couple of these into our first team. So there's some reasonable amounts of players in there that we'll have to go through and see which ones we keep. And if we go into the main squads, you can see, again, look, we'll have to move down through pages a little bit to get to all of the players. So there's plenty of players here, some of which are going to be of use to us, probably some not. So we're going to be able to get rid of a few, I think, secure some wages a little bit here and there, and maybe reinvest the wages slightly better. I would say that if you remember what we were able to do at Cobb Ramblers in the first season or two in the Irish First Division, not even the Premier Division, I think we probably got some better players there in a lower ranked league than there are in this particular team. So Levi Hope, for example, is 17 years old, decent prospect. Got a 9 tackling, which is slightly below what I'd like him to have, really. But the rest is pretty good. positioning, marking, heading is all pretty good for a central defender at 17. So there's a prospect. And I know one other guy is this guy, Tony McBurney, as another youngster, 17. I think he's even our vice captain, but he's a 4-star rated player, 5-star potential within the structure of how this side works. Plays an attacking midfield central role, hasn't got decent passing, but his first touch is good. His leadership and flair and determination are good. His balance, agility, acceleration are good. So, he might have something about him, and at the level that we're playing at, maybe that's all you need, is just something about you in some of these areas. So I'm going to have to go through this squad a little bit. We'll go into the team report and just get the squad depth analysis. So if we start with the goalkeepers, there's a 3-rated star goalkeeper. Similarly for our central defenders, we've got a 4-rated central defender and a 3.5 rated, so that's not too bad. 3-star rated left-sided defender. Oh no, we've moved up too far. That was the central midfield line, sorry. 3-rated in terms of most of our defenders, other than 3.5 on the defensive left. Now we're in the midfield. Sorry, I got confused. But there's some good potential there. Up front, I think, is lacking a little bit. I'm not sure we're getting the goals that we need. Maybe we need to find a striker. So yeah, there's some work to be done in terms of figuring out how best to play this particular team and how to get the best out of them. In terms of tactics, I'm gonna go through that before I play the first game. Obviously, we've got a game in 8 days, so I've got 8 days in the middle of January, basically, to get together a team, reshape it as much as I can, get a few out, get a few in, see if I can figure out the formation I want to use, and go into the Welsh Cup 4th round against Colwyn Bay. And you can see in terms of where they are in the league, they're a couple of places ahead of us in the league, so it's going to be a tough game. So I will come back and play that one with you in the next episode, in Club 2 Episode 2. That's the first game that we're going to play in a cup competition where there's a little bit less pressure on us. And hopefully by then I'll have sort of rejigged this squad a little bit, enough just to get a few new players in. But you can see here, in terms of the player statistics, who's been playing well. Tony McBurney, the 17-year-old from the attacking midfield line, is our number 1 goal scorer so far this season. And that shows a lot, doesn't it, really? We need better strikers immediately, it looks like. Highest average rating comes from Harris, who is a central midfielder. Got 9 passing, 12 determination. Again, I think that's roughly where we'll be looking at, isn't it? Somewhere between 9 and 11 for most of the key stats, I would guess. Next one down is most assists is also Harris. He's got 9, so that's worth bearing in mind. Best pass completion is Mitchell Smith. And who's Mitchell Smith? He's another central midfielder. 13 passing. That's good. First touch is good. Decisions are good. Vision is good. He's going to be a creative force for us, isn't he? So yeah, that's really encouraging, actually, to get somebody like him in at the age of 20. He's Australian. 2.5 stars, 5-star potential, so there's still some growth in him. Most player of the matches again is Harris, so he's a bit of a star of our show. So there's 1 or 2 bright sparks in there. We've got to figure out how we can get this overall balance better, if we can. Figure out how much money we can save by getting rid of some deadwood and potentially rejigging our squad. Being in the middle of January helps for that, of course, because it's currently the opportunity for a transfer window. And then we attack the second half of the season and see whether we can improve the fortunes of this club over time, which I think we can do. We've got another sort of 10 or however many games it is till the very end of the season, so it's not too many games to play. And I think that by the end of this season, we'll have a very clear picture about where we are in this league, and hopefully start us off on a good foot for attacking the league for next season, potentially, and see if we can get that high top half table finish for next season, maybe. But yeah, that's going to basically do it for this particular introductory episode. You can see that we've got a lot to do in the second half of this current season in January 2022. But I'm kind of high hopes really over the fact that it's an interesting league to be part of. I think that there's plenty of opportunity there for us to improve this squad and therefore potentially improve our standing within this league. And there's those European spots that could be quite interesting, somewhere between 3rd and 7th. If we get into that section for a European spot and even get into one round of European competition before we get knocked out, it's all good. It's all going to build reputation. And the other thing, of course, I can do whilst being at Connors Quay is that I can individually look at my profile and I can apply with them for another license in terms of the betterment of my manager for this particular series. We're going to go through some more training and get a higher license, a better license, and build the reputation of the manager here. And in doing that, that's how we're going to attract better jobs in the future. So yeah, I think there's some good stuff. It's going to be challenging, but welcome everybody to Connors Quay. Sad to have left Cobb Ramblers. They did great by me and I really enjoyed my time there. It was hard work that first half of the 3rd season, but other than that it was really good, a good club to be part of. But on to more interesting, challenging things, I would say. And here we are in the Welsh Premier Division. So I hope you'll join me for next episode where we play our first game in the Cup competition against Colwyn Bay. And I will update you on whether I've been able to change any of this personnel a little bit and improve this side. So thanks for watching today, the first episode of Club 2 in the Rolling in the Isles FM20 Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. I will look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So if you're enjoying this series so far, why not subscribe to the channel? It's really important to keep up with the content that I release by subscribing to the channel and switching those notifications on. If you enjoyed this introductory episode to Club 2, then why not click a like on it for me? That helps me get seen by other people. It's really important to the growth of my channel. So if you could do that for me, that would be amazing. If you're playing Football Manager yourself, I hope you're having a great time doing it. Let me know how you're getting in the comments below. Always interested to hear your stories. But until next time, take care of yourselves. I will see you soon and bye for now.